first to Mike Scherzan. And it comes from Alicia Del Signore of Council Bluffs. As the mother of a 7-year-old son on Medicaid, and with another one on the way, is there anything the federal government can do to ensure that Iowa has proper oversight of its new but questionable Medicaid program?
Well, I'm very happy the word questionable was put in there. Privatization of the social services that we have in this country, in my opinion, is a mistake and potentially a disaster. I had the fortunate benefit of walking around Council Bluffs with Steve Gorman here and introducing myself to various potential constituents he had. And I got to learn about a lot what he does and a lot of the things that a lot of the people that he talks to. And Steve speaks from the heart. He's providing services to many times the less fortunate in our society, those that receive Medicaid. And many of those people, he said, are frightened. They're frightened about what's coming. And the federal government does have a role here. Obviously, they provide the benefits. You know, your representative in the Senate here tried to get additional oversight on Terry Branstad to make sure that that was that the benefits that were coming through to them under that program were adhered to and followed. On a federal basis, what can be done is basically they can use the power of the purse. They can fine if some of these standards are not adhered to. And it would be my strong belief that that would be the way I would go at it, make it economically difficult for the state of Iowa and Mr. Branstad and the private enterprises to not provide those people that receive these services the benefits that they deserve. They do it through eligibility issues many times, and that's how they discriminate. The watchdog has to be there, because if it isn't, people will be hurt, and they're already starting to feel that.
As the mother of a 7-year-old son on Medicaid, and with another one on the way, is there anything the federal government can do to ensure that Iowa has proper oversight of its new but questionable Medicaid program?
The federal government, what's the benefit of the U.S. House as opposed to the Senate? So the Senate has some very special features about the Senate, and the House of Representatives has some very special features as well. So how does the federal government ensure that a state operates in accordance with other states? Their money, federal funding. That's how that operates. Not because we shake hands or we think or we dance together, but it's funding. Our states require, and the state of Iowa gets funding from the federal government. So there's two things. One, accountability. You hold the state accountable to do what it's supposed to do on behalf of the citizens that are living in the state. Two, if they don't do what they're supposed to do and be accountable to the citizens that are in the state, then they no longer receive the same level of money that they should be receiving. That's the strongest mechanism that the federal government has in making sure that the state of Iowa operates in accordance. Now, a slight caveat. Privatization, you have to understand, a business's focus is to do what? Generate revenue. That's what business does. That's what makes a successful business. It's not to make you feel good. It's not to do well by you. It is to make money. That is the reason that that's what businesses do. Government does not do that. Government spends. So to say that a government should act like a business is intellectually disingenuous at best. What you can utilize is best practices from a business for efficiency purposes, but not necessarily treat government like business. We hold the state of Iowa accountable, and if they don't do what they're supposed to do, then we have to talk about the purse strings.
As the mother of a 7-year-old son on Medicaid, and with another one on the way, is there anything the federal government can do to ensure that Iowa has proper oversight of its new but questionable Medicaid program?
Well, I always like the third time around when we get the question because we really know it by then. As I stated earlier, the basic social safety net was very important to my family growing up. Social Security survivor benefits, Medicaid. I'm not sure how our family would have made it without those very important services, that basic social safety net that allowed a mother of 2 young children to work for a modest income and still get by and pay the rent and have everything that we need. Like Alicia, I have a young son who is on Medicaid. My youngest son, Jack, who's 5 years old, suffers from a rare neurodegenerative disease called ataxia telangiectasia. It's very rare. There's only 400 kids in the United States who have it, and there's no treatment and there's no cure for it. And it is never going to be profitable for a company to insure it. It's never going to be profitable. And when we outsource inherently governmental services like Medicaid, because of that profit motives that exist in the private sector, it's 100% wrong. When you look at what is considered to be the role of the government, anything that is inherently governmental should be done by the government, not by private companies. Now, if you need one lawn mowed somewhere at a government building and you want to contract that out, that's okay. But when I was at the Pentagon, part of my job was leading the Army's insourcing initiative. And what we've done is looked at the government contracts that had all been put into place under the Bush administration over the past decade of war, and any service that was inherently governmental, we insourced. We brought back under the scope, under the control of the government, so it was done by government employees for the taxpayers. Because we removed that profit motive, that's how we saved all that money. So when we privatize Medicaid, it's exactly the wrong approach. And in Congress, I would propose legislation to direct the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services to no longer allow any funding to go to states that have privatized Medicaid. That would immediately remove the issue. We would no longer see that privatization in the Medicaid program.
Any follow-up?